Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode here on BatchTV. Today we're jumping into finding opportunities and cash buyers in Florida. Check this out. Now we're jumping into my BatchLeads account and we'll go over how to pull a list of opportunities, depending on what your strategy is and different things you can do there. But there are other methods depending on what your focuses are. Like maybe you're really into driving for dollars. You can do that in BatchLeads or even take the mobile app out on the go. So many people don't know about it and don't have it downloaded. So keep that in mind. You can do it virtually here on the desktop or once again out on the go with the app. Or you can also reach out to real estate agents in BatchLeads, depending on what your focuses are in your business. And you have lots of different opportunities to build those relationships and pull different data points. So let's jump into property search. Be sure to go to our help center if you want to learn more about different areas or even find videos here on BatchTV. Just keep in mind our help center will be best for finding up-to-date resources. You always want to make sure that you're checking the date in the description here on every video on BatchTV. So now that we're here in property search, let's go and start looking for properties in Florida. Let's go to the search bar. You can definitely use the boundary search and start drawing an area if maybe there's an area you already want to start finding properties in, or maybe you already have a property under contract and you want to find buyers. You can do that for sure with this. But let's go to the location search and we're going to go to just a specific city. You can look up zip codes, you can look up a county, city, state, you name it, but we're going to go and focus in on Tampa, Florida. So after we type out our search, you always want to choose your strategy first. It just sets the foundation. It helps you avoid pulling any listed properties when you're really trying to pull off-market opportunities. So always choose this first so that you're pulling the data you want into your account. Let's choose off-market for today. We're going to jump into a couple different examples, and then we'll go also into finding cash buyers that you definitely want to build great relationships with so that when you find a property, you can bring that to them to see what they'd even pay for that, if that's even an area that they're focusing in on, if it's a desirable area, or just in general, if you want to assign something you already have under contract for those of you that may be wholesaling. Maybe using something like BatchRank could be something that you want to use in your account. This is basically an AI tool, has a built-in algorithm, and you can go up to different levels of being likely to sell based on your plan. So I'm in the highest plan within BatchLeads. I can go all the way up to most likely, and if I wanted to, I really could just keep it that simple and say, hey, show me all the properties that are most likely to sell and not do anything else. And you can do a lot more, but if you wanted to, you really could keep it as simple as that. Something I like to call out here though is that if you start seeing, maybe you are using something like BatchRank and then you notice that it's pulling up apartments or condos, and that's not what you're trying to focus in on, remember that you absolutely can use your all filters and put those on top of BatchRank or use those hand in hand. So it's not one or the other. You can use all of these to work for you cohesively. If I wanted to, maybe we're pulling up BatchRank to find those off-market opportunities in Florida, but I also want to go to property characteristics and just really make sure that it's only pulling me up residential single-family opportunities. That's a great way to use it if you want to really lean on that AI tool fully, but you also want to just tell the system exactly what you're trying to maybe avoid or trying to focus in on. So BatchRank is great. Once again, you can apply those different filters, lots of different categories. We'll talk about them a little bit more here in a moment, and then you can view your results and save them into your account. Now, you also can use your map quick filters to your advantage. We're going to reset these filters just so we can kind of keep going through different examples. But you could also go through your quick filters here. There are, I believe, 26 different categories, and they will change depending on the strategy that you have selected here. So for those of you that are maybe focused on submitting offers on the MLS, choose on market as your strategy and you'll get different categories. It's going to be fitting for what your strategy is. So let's stick once again with off market for now. And we could say, hey, we're looking for off-market pre-foreclosures. Select the category and then simply save them into your database by selecting them and saving them. Quick filters work really well for pulling a great quality, efficient list, but we're going to talk a little bit more about these filters in a second. There's things like absentee owners, pre-foreclosures, vacants, tax defaults, failed listings, vacant lots, senior owners, and much more. We're continuously adding additional data points as well. So always be watching out for additional filters in your account that may be added. But keeping it simple would be grabbing a category and saving them. Maybe using BatchRank on top of it if you wanted to as well, which we have applied. Let's go into our all filters here just to talk about some of the categories as you're looking for these different opportunities in your market in Florida. So in the quick filter section, the big difference with these quick filters is that you can stack categories. So maybe we don't only want properties that are in pre-foreclosure, but we also want them to be absentee owned. So the owner doesn't even reside in that property. Already with just applying one additional filter, we've already focused our list a lot. So if you want to, you can use them with your quick filters or take that category off as well, which we're going to do for this example so I can kind of show you more results. So let's say we're looking for absentee owned properties that have high equity and maybe they've defaulted on their taxes. Right here, we've created a quick stacked list with hardly any effort. You could also just see those properties and save them into your database. Don't forget about additional categories like the property characteristics to specify the types of homes, the year build to find older properties or find properties that have certain home features. Maybe in the ownership info tab, you could say they have been owned for a good few years. Especially just using this in general is smart, just so that you're not pulling up properties that recently sold. I always recommend using this filter, even if you only want to put a few years, but maybe we make sure that they've been owned for a good amount of time. So we've already applied. Let's also just put the residential single family here. You can kind of see the filters add up across the top. And after you finish going through your filters, let's just say that we're going to stick with this off-market, absentee-owned, high equity, tax default list, residential single family properties that have been owned for 7+ years. Let's check out our results here by clicking on that blue option and then once again, save them into your account. Let me go ahead and show you how to save these as you're getting started. Click select all or a custom number, save them and save the properties. This is a off-market list, so it doesn't make sense for us to save the agents, but you can. We're going to save the properties. I always keep my list very specific, really straight to the point. Now, I did stack lists with this, and it just depends on what you're wanting to include. So for me, I could say these are absentee tax defaults. I kind of like to bring in the main points and make that clear for myself. You'll thank yourself later if you come up with an organized method in the beginning. So I'm going to save it to this absentee tax defaults list. And what I like to do for the tag name is I always reference the exact list name, but then I bring in things like the market and the date. And typically I'll do that by the month and the year. It's really easy to find your stuff later and keep track of it, see what's working, see who you've reached out to already. You want to be tracking these things. Go ahead and save them. And within BatchLeads, you do have all inclusive contact information. So all of their phone numbers and email addresses are going to be ready for me to start calling and taking action within my list. And I'll show that here shortly. Now, for those of you that are focused maybe on market properties and you're submitting those offers on the MLS, I'm going to show you a brief example of that and then how to find cash buyers in your market as well. So let's stay in Tampa. Let's go to on market now as a strategy. For those of you that this is your focus, you'll see BatchRank is no longer there. You do have this deal potential section to find properties that are listed at a certain percentage of ARV or have a specific spread amount between the current listed price and the potential after repair value. We get that data by looking at recently sold comparable properties. It's really, really cool. But let's go into, you'll also find it down here in MLS tab, which is what we're going to jump into. So in the MLS status section, you can see we already have yes on market selected previously. You can choose the status, the deal potential here once again. So basically, just to give you an idea, we could find properties that are listed at, let's say, 60% of ARV. What that would do in this case, if I went ahead and pulled this list and a property that's in that same neighborhood, that's the exact same layout, a perfect comp, if you will, to those properties that sold for 100,000. Let's say it pops up on the market listed at 60,000. It's going to pull up those properties that are listed at that percentage of the comparable properties nearby. Now with the spread in dollar amount, this isn't like the wholesale spread. This isn't how much you can make on the deal. This is the difference between what the property is currently listed at and what the system is saying the potential after repair value is. So let's just say that a property is listed at $200,000. And let's say that in the ARV data that the system has, once again looking at comparable properties, let's say that the ARV is $350,000. That spread would be $150,000. So if you wanted to find properties that have that huge difference, you would type it out something like this, for example. So great filters. We're not going to use those today, but want to give you an idea of what they are. The MLS description is incredibly valuable. For those of you that are looking for these on-market opportunities, I could be typing in keywords that the agent has used in their listing description. I could do things like investor special, cash offer, maybe handyman. I'm looking for maybe distressed properties that are on the MLS that would be better suited for an investor rather than a retail buyer. Maybe fixer-upper potential, whatever that might look like. Your results will grow the more categories or the more words and phrases you put in here. Just separate them by a comma. Listing date, days on market. So you could find properties that maybe have been listed for a minimum of 90 days on top of that, or maybe no time at all. They've only been listed 2 days, for example, and they go really quickly for those that are focused on those types of opportunities. So keep that in mind. Failed listing date is helpful because you can pull failed listings that have expired, canceled, or been withdrawn off the market in here. You can tell the system a specific date range, which is nice. Listing price, ARV, if the properties are listed below market price. So let's just go ahead and stick with this. We still have the ARV at 60%. We can leave that alone as well and just see what we pull up here. But after you review your filters and you're happy with what it's pulled up here for you, you can then see the results. Let's take a look at just this first one that the system's pulled up. Not only can I look at the photos, which I want to take a look at the condition of this, definitely needs some TLC. I can look at the MLS tab, seeing a ton of updating, but we're going to go to the MLS tab and you can see right here, investor special in the heart of Tampa Bay. Attention savvy investors and builders, opportunity, etc., etc. I can scroll down and immediately reach out to that agent. I have their primary phone number included right here. I can save them to my list, my agent outreach tab in here to continue building that relationship, even if it doesn't work out with this property. It's incredibly valuable to have that information all built in. Oh, and here's this after repair value section, the ARV section I was talking about, and that listing amount. So earlier when I was talking about the deal potential section, this is the differences or where the system is pulling that data for entering your differences in the filter and the ARV data. So pretty awesome to be able to pull up that information. Let's go ahead and save this list. I would select them, save them, and I would save the properties into a nice organized on market list, specifying the market and the date in the tag. Now, if you're looking for great cash buyers, absolutely, you could use the quick filters in here again to your advantage. We're going to reset things. So there is going to be a cash buyers section within your account, but typically it'll be a pretty large list and you might not have the room in your account. You might not just want to save 40,000 people in general and you want to have better conversations quicker. So what you can do to find these better investors that have recently bought properties with cash is by going to the all filters. So we're going to go to Tampa, leave the strategy on all, go to all filters, and we're going to go down to cash buyers. Now let's tell the system the properties need to have been purchased with cash. So yes, let's do the purchase date. Already we're building a way more valuable list just by adding a few filters. Let's do purchase date in the past year, maybe the past 3 months, depending on what you're looking for. Number of properties owned will allow you to find how many properties they own in their portfolio. Let's say a minimum of 5. Another filter you might want to include is to exclude any properties where the mailing address and property address match. So I don't want them to live there. Essentially, I'm saying they must be absentee owners of these properties purchased with cash. Now, as a bonus, you do not have to do this part. This already is going to pull up a great list of cash buyers that are recently purchasing properties with cash. But if you wanted to maybe make sure they've been fix and flipped, you could then go into the MLS status section and make sure they are now active or pending. A great way to find properties that have been worked on. Maybe these buyers are looking for their next project. So we're going to go to check out those results. Remember, you can also use the MLS tab to find fix and flip properties and type that out in the description. Use your other things like property characteristics if you want to as well. But let's just take a look at something we find here. And this one already recently remodeled kitchen, bathrooms, flooring, etc. You can get the owner profile information to see that this LLC, they own 7 properties. You could easily reach out to them if you wanted to directly reach out to that buyer, as BatchLeads does have LLC and trust information. Save the data and you'll immediately get the phone numbers and email addresses, or you could reach out to the agent who is representing them. So great information at your fingertips. Once again, select them and save them into your account. So last note is that if you go to my list, you'll be able to find your saved data. As long as you've been saving things into nice organized lists and tags, you should never have an issue finding your information. Simply go to my list, go to the list and tags section at the top of the screen, and here is that absentee tax default list I pulled in Tampa earlier. Pull that up, select it, and you'll be able to start seeing all of the phone numbers and email addresses included. Once again, you'll be able to then go into the details of the property. Don't forget about the additional tabs like the built-in comping tool to help you determine the current or after repair value. sale and loan info, tax information, foreclosure information if applicable, and so much more. As you can see, it's incredibly easy to find off-market opportunities, on-market properties, and valuable cash buyers in Florida. This goes for any market that you're working in. Give it a try within your own account. Let us know how it goes, and if you have questions, down in the comments. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the like button if this video was valuable for you today. Be sure to also find the link in the description to join our free community, and we hope to see you guys back here on BatchTV for some of our next videos.